personally stopped. It's like, yeah, that's awesome. You know, so a whole group of people had got together and just done this random thing. I could probably go to that movie that was really, really awful, and then have someone have a conversation with me afterwards about it that would it could make me go, okay, that movie was really special. So much of it comes down to the conversation.
The first time I saw the Cirque du Soleil, it was so special because I had never seen anything like this before, and it was just magic. It was like being a child again. It was, yes, fantastic. Just touching something inside of you that you thought was gone for a long time.
I love what she says at the end there, and I think that captures the segment so perfectly. They have this almost childlike curiosity to see new things. And like the guy said, you know, he went to rubbish film, but then had a conversation with somebody who's like, oh, it's amazing, you know. So they're kind of very childlike in terms of the way they engage, that they're sort of excited about everything that's new, but to the detriment of tradition. So they'll actually actively kind of avoid things that they think are traditional or old and staid. The next segment are quite different perspective, and we call them perspective because they're quite self-sufficient. Priorities are very close to home, and in fact arts and culture are a very low priority for them. It's not something that they kind of actively look for. Now, you will find them in your audiences, and it's usually in audiences for things where they have a sort of existing interest. So they're kind of people that often say, well, you know, I like what I know, and I know what I like. And it's very hard to get them to come to something new. So if we have stimulation at the front of the risk curve, these guys are right at the back. So they are the laggards, the last people to try anything new. Interestingly, when we look at the stats, it probably doesn't surprise very many people. There are a lot more of these people in the UK than there are in Australia. And interestingly, you'll see in the report that when you look at the regional breakdowns, that in Tasmania there are more of these people than most of the other states. And I think that doesn't surprise me, because they are people who quite like the idea of somewhere they could get off the grid a little bit and live kind of quite remotely and self-sufficiently.
My ideal weekend at home probably involve doing some chores around the house, a bit of gardening, sitting in the sun reading the paper, maybe going to the movies, going for a walk, and I suppose going to an art event. I guess it makes you feel like you're sort of broadening yourself and learning something new, and experiencing a bit of culture that you aren't exposed to.